And so I've been involved in the field for a long time. I've worked at companies, I've worked at universities. Intelligence isn't the thing that correlates with success and power. Find something that you're interested in and say, I want to figure it out. But sometimes you may need to make the next step.
From where I need to begin?
Okay.
How are you doing?
All right.
Thank you for this interview.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. My first question would be just for people who don't know you yet, if you can have a quick introduction, give us understand really who we are we right now.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Hi, I'm Peter Norvig. I'm artificial intelligence researcher and scientist. I've been doing that for a long time, since the 1980s, trying to get computers to understand language, among other things. And it was a hard task we worked on for a long time. Now we're finally starting to see success, I think in a way that nobody really anticipated, right? So when I started out, I thought, yes, there are some words on the page, but the really hard part is not figuring out what the words on the page are, but figuring out what's going on up here in the head. And we thought that's what we're going to spend most of our time trying to figure out. And in the last few years, we've seen these large language models that say, well, we're not going to do very much about what's in the head. We're going to take a very simple model of the types of learning that can be done, and then we're just going to feed it lots and lots of text and test it on that, and it automatically makes itself better. And I think we never thought that was going to happen, but here we are. And so I've been involved in the field for a long time. I've worked at companies, I've worked at universities. I got to write the textbook, which was the most widely used textbook in the field, just because of a lack of timing. I came along at a time when the field was changing, and I got to write the version that was more up to date to where the field was going, and then got to rewrite it and rewrite it again.
Wow, so impressive. Right now, we are looking like we are, me and my friend and people around us, we are seeing this age of AI, the age of agent too, and in a way we are seeing we heard about it like it's a revolution, like internet before in perhaps 20 years or 25 years before. Do you think it's the same thing right now with this technology?
I think it's similar. If you think about the amount of impact it'll have, I think it's similar to the internet. It's also similar in a way that I think of what the internet was a way for everybody to benefit from and share what everybody else had written down. And yeah, we kind of always had that, in that we had libraries and you could go there and see what other people had written about. But the internet just made it that much more accessible. And I think these AI models are doing a similar thing. They're making it yet another step towards being more accessible. But they're still all based on what it is that we as a human species thought was important enough to write down.
And how we saw internet was some companies, they wasn't used internet, and they bring internet to their offer, and they was Broadway all over the world. And right now we are seeing perhaps the same ecosystem, like some companies bring AI in their system, they are more efficient, more fast, but for the internet it was like selling to 10 people to 1 billion people, but it was more I don't know, tangible perhaps in a way. How is it AI? Because this is the fact perhaps how it can be tangible for this kind of company, for example.
Yeah, I guess it is different, and one of the things that distinguishes AI from the technologies we've had in the past is its generality, right? So we used to, when we had software that would do one thing, right? So you had a word processor, you had a spreadsheet, or whatever you had, it was aimed to solve one problem and do one task. And now we have these AI systems that are aimed to do anything, right? They're really aimed to, I guess if you could say they're designed to do one thing, they're designed to learn how to do the next thing. And that's new. We haven't had that before. So in one sense, it's just, this is another new tool. We've had lots of exciting new tools before. The internet was one of them. the bulldozer. That was an amazing tool because it replaced hand work with a shovel with something that was so much more powerful. And so we've had lots of those innovations, but the AI systems of today are the first ones that are based on being able to learn something new rather than just being able to carry out the one thing they were designed to do.
All right, all right. And in all this path, so you studied and you did all this study and you worked in this area of Palo Alto, of the Bay Area. For me, it's something really new, because this is the part of my journey here too. But is it the best place to be?
Yeah, so I wasn't always here. I grew up in the Boston area and went to college there, worked for a couple of years there, and then only came out here to go to grad school. But I do think like the infrastructure here is better than in other places. So there's lots of places that have many smart people and maybe access to capital investors to get things going. So, you know, if you don't happen to live here, don't give up. There's lots of opportunities for you. But I think there's just more here. It's sort of all the little things you need, right? So you need the employees, and then you need the lawyers that are familiar with all the legal steps. You need the human resources experts, and all these things. More of them are available here than elsewhere. So one of the examples, I have a neighbor who had a startup company, and his co-founder was from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he said, I really want to run the company out of Albuquerque. And so my neighbor said, sure, you know, I'll try something new. I'll move there for a while. And so they moved to Albuquerque, and they started off, and they said, this is great that, you know, we're hiring people, and people love to work for us because they can come here and they can actually buy a house. And they can't do that in Palo Alto. So we're getting amazingly good people, and they're all loving it, and they're really happy here, and we're having a great time. And so they said, we made a great decision. And then a couple of years went by, and they said, you know, the company's doing better and better, we have to expand. And then they suddenly realized, we already hired everybody in our field who wants to live in Albuquerque. And we can't hire anybody else. So they had to come back and open up an office here in order to be able to find enough people to expand. So, you know, you can get started anywhere, but sometimes you may need to make the next step, and that might mean having to move to a hub. Not necessarily Silicon Valley, could be one of the other major hubs.
Really, really interesting. All right. Perhaps to continue for the future. Right now, I heard a lot about this superintelligent. I don't understand exactly what does it mean. I mean, can you explain it to me and to tell me like if it's true and if it's real danger for us?
Yeah.
Perhaps in 20 years we will perhaps laugh about it, but I don't understand it exactly. If you can share it?
Yeah. So superintelligence doesn't have an exact definition. I think that's one of the problems and why there's so many arguments about it. But basically, it means something that's more intelligent than even the top person. Now, to some extent, we already have had superintelligences. So corporations and governments are superintelligences, right? Because they can do more than any one person can. But I guess the thing that when people talk about it in terms of AI, what they say is, well, an AI is fundamentally a learning machine. So if we could make a machine that's smarter than any person, then we could give it the task of designing a machine that's smarter yet, and then give that one the machine of designing something that was smarter yet, and then there'd be this exponential takeoff. And I think that's what some people are excited about, other people are very rightfully worried about that. I guess I'm kind of skeptical, right? So first of all, you know, anytime you see an exponential curve that's going up, I feel like it can't go up forever. Essentially, it's always got to even off. You know, you see that, like, you know, you can have exponential population growth for a while, but you can't do that forever. Eventually, it's got to even out. And I think in terms of these systems we build, I think we will hit those ceilings, in part because my model of where intelligence comes from is from learning from the data that's available. And we already have these systems that have learned from almost everything that all of humanity has ever written down. And so how are we going to build a system that's twice as good or 10 times better than that? I'm not sure where the data is going to come from. Now maybe a smart system will be able to think of something and will be able to do that, but I don't think it's an automatic given that it will be able to do that, and I'm skeptical that it will. I think that there's some limits. And then I also think that we kind of fetishize this idea of intelligence too much. Right? We call ourselves Homo sapiens. It's our ability to think and reason that we think is distinguishing to us. But there's lots of other qualities in the world, and I think intelligence isn't the only one, and intelligence isn't the thing that correlates with success and power 100%. If it did, then all our leading politicians would be the smartest people around, and that's not the way I see the world.
Really, really interesting, amazing. Thank you so much. Perhaps just to take another question, it will be personal for me, but even perhaps for other people who want to begin now. Like, I consider myself like a beginner, and they say, okay, if I need to go from scratch right now, in this moment, with all this innovation, from where I need to begin? If I need to speak about skills, like a soft one or hard one, do I need to focus on developing, writing code, or other things?
Yeah.
What can you share about the three perhaps top things to begin with?
So I would say, let's start with two, curiosity and persistence.
Right.
So curiosity to say, find something that you're interested in and say, I want to figure it out. And then start asking questions. You can interact directly with a language model. You can read books or articles, try to figure it out, try to see if it works, and if it doesn't. And then the persistence to say, well, there's going to be parts where it isn't working, and there's going to be parts where it's hard. And there's going to be parts where you don't understand something, and you're going to have to read an article over and over and over again and understand a little bit more each time. And don't give up when you hit those roadblocks, and don't say, I'm not good enough, or this isn't for me, or somebody else could do this but I can't. But rather say, all right, I'm going to do this, and it may take me a while, maybe it'll take me longer than somebody else, but that's okay. When I come out the other end, maybe I'll understand it better because I've spent more time working on it.
Can I ask you a question? Perhaps it can be personal, you can say no to it, right? I want to know, what's the biggest decision that you made in your life?
I don't know. I think I've been lucky in that I've been put into a situation where, I make decisions, but they worked out well. And I don't think that's necessarily because I made the best choices, but I think it's like, I was privileged to be in an environment where lots of choices were good. And so, I changed jobs, I changed where I live, I changed the people that I hang out with, and it's all worked out great. But if I made different choices, it might have also worked out well.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, thank you so much.
Right.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for being here. So we are, just to give a context, we are in AI for Good in Stanford.
Yeah.
And this was amazing. Thank you for this talk.
All right, thanks.
Perfect.